All right. So today, talking about, is it a good time to buy and sell real estate in the holiday market, specifically in Florida? I think this is an interesting conversation because we don't have snow, we don't have freezing pipes. The flowers don't necessarily die in the front yard, and the grass doesn't die. The pool doesn't have a cover over it and winterized. So, your thoughts on buying and selling in the holiday market?
Well, I think that specifically here in Florida, a lot of people come visit during this time. Um, People who are possibly thinking about being snowbirds, or maybe they're visiting their kids here. So I definitely think for that reason, it's a good time to keep your home on the market or put your home on the market. A lot of times, Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving is when we get an influx of snowbirds here. So I think if your property at all appeals to that population, it's a good time.
Yep. I'm not a property that appeals to a snowbird.
Well, I would say that the inventory is still going to be lower now than more than likely it would be in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So while there might be fewer buyers, usually I find the buyers that are out there now are more serious. They have to find something, which if I was a seller, that's who I would be looking. I don't need a bunch of looky-loos coming into my house. What I do want is serious buyers, and less competition on the market, where I feel like a lot of people wait till after the holidays and then you get an influx of inventory coming on.
Yeah, interesting. This year, I don't know, but inventory has ballooned by something like 30% over the last 60 days. So,
And yet inventory was at its lowest. So
right.
having said that,
it ballooned up to kind of our normal inventory, what we carry for normal inventory in our MLS. This year, maybe it feels like less buyers than this time last year. I think it's pretty interesting. The 22, 23, and 23, 24 winters kind of feel the same with buyers. Interest rates are a little bit higher than they were last year, but it feels like, I don't know, it just feels different this year for some reason. I mean, homes in Viera West are more than 20 days on market. Like, I was trying to think, when was the last time has it ever happened in Viera where things didn't fly off the shelf?
well, and as a buyer, if I was looking to buy in Viera West, I would say it's a great time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hands down.
I have time. I don't have to make a super quick decision because things aren't flying off the market. I'm not competing with 5 other offers. There is some inventory for me to choose from.
Yep.
And over the last couple of weeks, the rates have crept down a little bit. And even if I get an 8% interest rate right now, I'm going to be able to refinance that. And right now, I want to get a good deal. And I think there are some to be had right now.
Right, absolutely.
For sellers, if the inventory has crept up over the last 60 days, going into what is historically a fairly low inventory market,
Yep.
what's going to happen in February, March, April? So either way, I like that as a buyer, there's options that I haven't had. And as a seller, I'm competing with fewer people.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a buyer and I have negotiating power, I'm also not stuck to that interest rate, whether I'm using a 3-2-1 buy down, whether I'm using a 2-1 buy down. Maybe I'm looking at an ARM product. I'm still asking for a concession, maybe to buy down, right? Like, I'm sitting down with the professional that's handling my mortgage and saying, all right, now I have multiple cards I can play, right? It used to be like, okay, you got one card, play it. Now I have maybe 5 cards that I can play, and what's the best scenario for me and my family? So buying right now, I think absolutely.
So if I'm a seller and I'm going to list, we're going into the holiday season. Can I put my holiday lights up?
No.
Why?
What if your home doesn't sell by Christmas?
Then I'll take them down.
And then we got to reshoot photos and redo photo day. I mean, our photographers love that. But
yeah. My home never looks better outside of the holiday season.
So interesting enough, I had this thought too, right? Like, as we're watching inventory, um, we were we have our Monday place call, and there's some new software that they're rolling out, and so it was just very interesting to look at how you can look at price brackets and the competition in that. And I was thinking, okay, maybe right now I do not want to enter into the competition of a market, right? Like if I'm in Vieira West and somebody might have 5 or 6 options, maybe I'm looking actually at getting ready to list, take the photos, get the home truly ready to list, and then we watch the market very carefully. For example, I was talking to a seller in Suntree yesterday, and we were going over the market analysis, and I was like, look at all the homes in Suntree. There's 48 homes in Suntree that are for sale right now. That we haven't seen that number in 3 to 5 years, right? Like you have stiff competition, but where we were thinking to price the home, there actually was only 1 or 2 homes that was competing in that sub 600 price point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, well, you're going on the market and yes, there's 48, but you really only have 2 homes you're competing with.
That are true competition.
Right. That Mr. and Mrs. Smith are going out to look at homes and their budget is 600 and they have 2 to 3 options and you could be one of those options and you're in good condition and right, like brand new roof, like they have really taken care of the property. So you might shine over 2 or 3 of those anyways. So it's just interesting to look at it and say, well, I'm not going to, I want to look macro and then I want to look at an area and then I really have to start diving into what are those brackets that my buyer is going to search for, right? And you could have very little competition or none. You could be watching that and say, let's flip the switch tomorrow because 2 out of those 3 went pending and now I'm only competing with 1 home. I like those odds.
So what if there were 8 homes in that bracket? Then what would you suggest?
Well, we know you have to either be the best condition or the best price. And if you have 8, you probably have to be both, which is very hard for a seller to understand, right? Like you have to be the best condition and the best price if you're competing with 8 other homes. And that's also not taking into fact, like there's new construction out there. New construction is still coming online, right? And so
finished new construction for the first time in a long time.
Right. So
inventory homes. So
best condition is very challenging because you have a 20-year-old home and there is a 2-month-old home coming on the market that's going to compete with you, and traditionally at a very competitive price. Now, you know, if you're not working with an agent that understands there are a lot of things about new construction that might look like a fantastic shiny object, and then you have to do window treatments, and then you have to do, oh, well, my furniture doesn't fit into that house, or my furniture looks right. Like there can be some costs in that side too.
Sure.
But interesting. So how do we tie a bow on whether it's good to buy or sell in the holiday season?
I say yes.
To both.
To both.
Educated yes to both.
An educated yes to both.
And I say that only on the sell side, right? Like on the buy side, I think the education is there. You have a lot of options. It's a great time to buy.
I just think on the sell side, I don't think the conditions are going to get better over the next few months.
Interesting.
I think you're going to be competing with more people after the holiday. The other thing that I see too, and that I've seen year over year, is the buyers who are waiting and who are primed to buy something. They've made up their mind in the next year, maybe that's their 2024 plan. Mm-hmm. As soon as the holidays are over, even before New Year, sometimes they're like, okay, let's go.
Right.
And so if you're not on the market through the holidays, if you're waiting until, I used to have one of the agents that I used to work with would say after MLK weekend, go. Well, if you're waiting till then, all those people who are just primed to go and ready to go right now, you've missed. Yep. Because they're out there looking, unless they don't pull the trigger on something, in a month's time. But I'm a strong yes.
Jen's a strong yes. I'm a strong yes on buyers and a educated yes on sellers, and fantastic.
Okay.
It's a yes. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and see you next time.